The student kicked off today. Student accompanied by their parent found Kenyatta University as they are waiting to be registered and declared official student of the institution. However, some parents expressed their misfortune with the newly released university funding model, saying that it is unburdened to them and pleading with the government to revive back the former model used to fund the student.
Kwa upande wetu kama wazazi tunaomba tu ingelikuwa vizuri loan iwe tu once. Kama imetoka kwa serikali, unajua kwamba imetoka kwa serikali na inasaidia wanafunzi at once, sio kwamba ati wanaleta loan mara tatu, inachanganya watu, inachanganya wanafunzi, hapo inakuwa very much complications.
Serikali itusaidie hizo mikopo iendelee kama awali ilivyokuwa inaendelea, so that wanafunzi waendelee kusoma hapa.
In support of the period demands, the newly admitted students say that the new funding model was rushed to implementation and that the government should have waited a little bit longer before introducing the new funding model.
I think it was rushed. In my own opinion, it was rushed because even now I don't think all the students have applied. There are system challenges, so it's a good model, yes, but I think it's needed some time.
At the same time, the newly admitted student will not hide their happiness as they express their desires of joining Kenyatta University. They term the admission as a golden opportunity that they will exhaust fully.
Well, I chose it. I had the passion and desire to come here and pursue my course, specifically Bachelor of Education Arts in Music. And I'm happy to be here. I believe I'll make new friends.
I feel really honored to be one of the, best universities in Kenya. So I'm grateful for an opportunity to be here.
Parents have noted that the education for their children is one of the most important pillars that the children must fulfill in order to better their life in the future.
What I can advise wanafunzi wetu, kama mtoto ametoka nyumbani kucha kusoma, wacha asome. Asijihusishe na mambo ya mikomo ya shule, mambo mengine awachane nayo, kwa sababu kitu ambacho tunaangazia hapa sana ni elimu.
The newly admitted students are promised to use their independence positively and stay on course throughout their 4-year period at the university.
Just do your course with the zeal and the passion that it deserves, and put hard work in our education. Let's not linger around with other unnecessary things. Let's just keep focused.
After their registration in Kenyatta universities, the first-year students are now expected to work hard in zeal in order for them to fulfill the dreams of their life. James Mureke Mwenda, Kutv, Kenyatta University.
All right, now the Immigration Department has announced a raft of changes at the department in a bid to improve the processing of passports applications amid a rising backlog blamed on corruption and sabotage. Among the changes to be implemented include the introduction of night and weekend shifts, among others, as entailed in this report by Dorothy Musioka.
Months of the country's outcry regarding the delays experienced at the Immigration Department when it comes to the processing and issuance of passports. Finally, the department responsible for travels in and out of the country have swung into action with a raft of measures and changes aimed towards addressing the passport backlog. According to the Acting Director General of Immigration Department in the country, the new measures put in place include increasing the number of staff members, deployment of some officers abroad, setting aside counters for emergency cases, introducing day and night shifts to provide a chance to receive more passport applications, acquire new booklets, repair and purchase new machines that will allow full-time passport printing.
Was released on a cash bill.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki, while appearing before Parliamentary Committee on Thursday last week, said he had received credible intel that among the contributing factors to delayed passport processing at the Immigration Department is corruption. The CS told Parliament that he will take leadership in cleaning up the mess in the agencies that fall within his ministry.
I will take the challenge which has been given to me. I will spend a bit more time physically to provide the leadership that we require and clean up that Nyayo House place. Many Kenyans have suffered from that place. And we will take very drastic action If need be, we'll seal off the place and declare it a scene of crime.
Addressing immigration officers at Nyayo House, Chelugate expressed optimism that the changes will bolster the processing editions of travel documents and effectively address the long-standing delays that have sparked agitation from the public. Dorothy Musioka, KUTV.
Now, the nationwide 2023 recruitment campaign for the Kenya Defence Forces KDF has officially commenced with the aim of strengthening ranks and enhancing the nation's security. The aspiring candidates will fill officer cadets, recruits, and Defence Forces constabularies positions, and this is according to Vice Chief of Defence John Amwangi. KDF has also mapped out 374 recruitment centres across the 47 counties, as Charles Kirubi reports.
Yet another time for recruitment of the members of the Kenya Defence Forces for the year 2023, an exercise that aims to strengthen the security of the country. The exercise that began on Monday and slated to run until the 8th of September was officiated by the Vice Chief of Defence Forces, Lieutenant General John Amwangi in Nairobi, who sounded a warning to the members of the public against bribery during the recruitment exercise. Lieutenant Mwangi has emphasized on the importance of diversity within the KDF, noting that recruitment is necessary to address human resource and capacity gaps within the organization, adding that transparency and accountability will prevail during the recruitment process. The KDF is seeking to hire people in 5 positions: General Service Officer, GSO, Specialist Officers, General Duty Recruits, Tradesmen and Tradeswomen, and Defence Forces Constables. Candidates are expected to hold a valid Kenyan ID, have no criminal record, have minimum height of 1.6 meters for men, 1.52 meters for women, minimum weight of 54.55 kgs for men, 50 kgs for women, be aged between 18 and 26 years for general service officers and general duty recruits, not above 30 years for specialist officers and tradesmen and women. As the recruitment exercise continues, the Ministry of Defense has sent text messages to subscribers warning them against fraudsters, saying that the exercise is free for all qualified Kenyan youths and that online applications had already closed on 20th August. The ministry has partnered with various stakeholders, including the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, human rights agencies, and police, to monitor the exercise to ensure that it takes place fairly. Shortlisted candidates are expected to be notified through the print media between September 17 and 24th September 2023. Charles Kirubi, KUTV.
President William Ruto has yet again thrown jibes at the opposition following the protest witnessed a month ago. Ruto, who is on a 5-day walking tour in the western region, has hailed the residents for their efforts in farming, urging them to distance themselves from the opposition's protests against the high cost of living and desist from carrying sufurias on their heads. This even as the second round of bipartisan talks between the government and opposition awaits.
President William Ruto has yet again thrown jibes at the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition, cautioning Western Kenya residents against subscribing to the notion of carrying sufurias on their heads to protest against the high cost of living instead of growing sufficient food.
Wakati wengine wanahangaika barabarani maandamano na kuvaa sufuria kwa kichwa, nyinyi muko shambani mnatusaidia kuzalisha chakula. Si ndio jameni? Ndio tunataka tuwaambie wale wanatusumbua na maandamano na masufuria. Tuwaambie watu Mount Elgon na Kenya mzima wamejitolea ya kwamba tutafukuza njaa Kenya hii. Muko tayari jameni? Muko tayari?
Ruto has congratulated Mount Elgon residents for taking part in agriculture to boost the government's plan of growing sufficient food in order to reduce the cost of living.
Ndio nilikuwa nawauliza juzi, hata wewe kama wewe sijui ni shujaa kiasi gani, hata ukivaa sufuria kwa kichwa bei ya unga itashuka chini. So mimi nawatangazia wakulima wote, bei ya mbolea tumeteremsha chini. Nimekubaliana na counties zote na mheshimiwa Lusaka hapa, tumekubaliana na yeye ile mbolea ya Kopsiro ipatikane Kopsiro, ya Cheptais ipatikane Cheptais, ile ya kule Kapsokony ipatikane Kapsokony.
Ile watu walikuwa wamenipangia kunipeleka Kamiti prison. Kwa hivyo nyinyi mkipatia rais mkaniokoa, nataka niseme asante sana. Otherwise tumefika hapa tukiwa na rais kwa mambo ya maendeleo. Na nyinyi watu ya Mount Elgon ni wangwana. Nimetembea hapa tukiwa juu, nimeangalia mahindi, nimependezwa sana.
President Ruto has also urged the residents to cease cutting down trees in order to conserve the environment, and that those who will participate in logging will be punished.
Tumekubaliana mambo ya kukata msitu ikome. Wale watu yote wa kukata msitu mimi nitawaweka kiboko. Msikie vizuri. Nitawanyorosha na kiboko. Hakuna kwenda tena kukata msitu. Tumekubaliana?
Ni lazima mushikilie hiyo agenda ya president ya climate change kwa muhimu sana, kwa sababu dunia inaharibika kwa sababu watu wameng'oa misitu, wameharibu.
Just a few days after taking a 5-day tour to the Mount Kenya region, President Ruto has taken a similar trip to the Western Kenya region. Azimio la Umoja One Kenya chief Raila Odinga has said that the president's itinerary across the country is meant for early campaigns ahead of the 2027 general elections. Joseph Kiss, KUTV.
Now, elsewhere, stakeholders are converging in Mombasa County for 3 days in a conference dubbed Maisha Conference to review lessons from HIV/AIDS responses. The stakeholders have raised alarms about the emerging surge of HIV/AIDS cases in counties that traditionally had fewer cases, stating that the conference will help in finding solutions to suppress the spread of HIV and AIDS. Listen in.
Dr. Ruth Laibon, CEO of the National Syndemic Diseases Control Council, in a pre-conference media briefing in Mombasa County on HIV and AIDS, revealed the challenge of emerging pockets of epidemics in counties that previously had few to no cases of HIV, including Homa Bay, Samburu, Mandera, and Garissa.
Counties such as Garissa, while the cases are few, we are concerned that if nothing happens, those few cases, if they remain unchecked, and people don't access treatment, then we would have a challenge.
According to Dr. Laibon, men and boys' adherence rates to antiretroviral drugs has become quite low compared to women and girls, despite HIV being more prevalent in women and girls.
Come to the hospital early. We only get them in the TB clinics, and when they are sometimes very sick or they've been sent to the hospital because of pneumonia or any other disease. So that's a challenge we have, and what we are trying to do now is to talk about early diagnosis of men and boys, because that is also a huge challenge.
The Triple Threat campaign is aiming at seeking commitment from all the stakeholders to end the cycle of poverty, likelihood of reinforcing the challenges that girls face that will create another vulnerability to HIV.
Today, with the antiretroviral drugs that we have, less than 1 in 100, less than 1%, as what we say, will get the infection. So the research work that has been done, a lot of it in Kenya and elsewhere in the world, has led us to a point where we can talk about ending AIDS in children.
With the rising concerns on the surge of HIV and AIDS, parents and guardians have been encouraged to educate their children in order to protect themselves from the effects of AIDS. Cynthia Nderito, KUTV.
All right, that story by Cynthia Nderito is taking us to a very fast short break right here at KUTV Primetime News. Of course, so much more lined up for you. Stay with us.
Ukimwi kwa wengi ni zimwi. Vijana wanaoishi na virusi hivi wanakumbana na mengi.
Imekuwa tu ni matusi, hata ukipika chakula wengine wana reject, hawataki kula.
Ilikuwa uchungu. I went to an extent yenye nikaandika hadi note, nilikuwa naenda kujiua.
Lakini
I have overcome self-stigma. I have overcome the anticipated stigma. I have overcome in external stigma.
Mradi wa Youth Care Wanaya Kenya unawasaidia vijana hawa kujikubali.
Kimenisaidia sana. It has empowered me.
Ungana nami Mutweri Eliud saa 12:30 jioni na saa 3 usiku tarehe 1 Septemba kwa makala ya Ukimwi si Zimwi.
Focus on Health is a show that creates awareness on matters health and informs you on various diseases, their causes, treatment, prevention, coping and support. So join me, Bari Michelle, every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. only on KUTV. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at KUTV Focus on Health on Facebook and also on YouTube, and Health Focus on Instagram, because your health is your wealth. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Kutoka kuwa jamii ya kuhamahama na sasa kujumuisha kilimo katika mitindo yao ya maisha. Kwenye toleo la kaunti ya Narok, hii ni Boresha Kilimo, kwani afya bora ni kilimo bora.
Kwani kilimo ndicho huboresha maisha.
Kipindi hewani ni mitindo ya kipwani. Kama ilivyo kipindi hiki kinahusu nyimbo za taarab, chakacha, midwara, midundiko, bila kusahau mapishi. Ambao ndio uti wa mgongo wa pwani ya Afrika Mashariki.
Jamani, swahibu zangu mliopo maskani, hatuonani wenzangu, najua mwanitamani.
Hapa KUTV, nahodha mwendesha chombo cha baharini, yani ua linalunukia na kuvutia waridi tamu.
All right, welcome back to the broadcast. Thank you so much for staying with us. Let's continue with our coverage. Now, hundreds of youth today held peaceful protest in Eldred Town, protesting over an alleged scam by a recruitment agency that is known as the Fast Choice Recruitment Agency. They're demanding a refund of millions of shillings that they paid to the agency to secure jobs in Qatar and other countries before last year's World Cup. The recruitment agency has, however, denied misappropriating the funds, with the CEO ignoring 3 summons from the Senate Labour Committee to respond to a petition by affected youths that had been filed at the Senate by human rights activist Kimutai Kirui. This comes amid uproar concerning the Finland scandal in the county that saw students and parents counting losses. Legislation recently proposed in Kenya's parliament will provide a framework for reducing carbon emissions by buying and selling carbon credits locally. Victoria Munga of the Voice of America reports on one Kenyan manufacturer who is making cooking stoves designed to lower emissions.
Salome Kihara depended heavily on wood as her cooking fuel for years until she acquired this more efficient stove, popularly known as Kuni Okoa, meaning save the firewood in Swahili. The stoves are designed to burn wood efficiently, using less fuel, but are expensive for most Kenyans. Kihara said she was lucky to get it at a price almost 80% less than the usual cost.
Nikaipata na 750.
I got it for about $750. I used to hear about how much it saves people money. Before then, I could not afford it because it was so expensive. So when I heard about the offer, I borrowed some money to buy it.
The maker of the stove, Burn Manufacturing, is using carbon credits to help lower the cost, which can run up to $70 in Kenya. Carbon credits are permits that represent 1 ton of carbon dioxide removed from the atmosphere. The permits can be earned by companies or individuals wishing to support the battle against climate change.
And we can quantify quite exactly, okay, before
homes had our stoves, here's how much wood or charcoal they were burning. And then after they have a burned stove, here's how much wood or charcoal they're using. And we find that that's a reduction, again, somewhere in the range of like 50 to 70% reduction in fuel being used. And that allows us to also calculate the reduction in CO2 that's emitted.
Burn Manufacturing gets its credit from Gold Standard Carbon Registry in Switzerland, one of several registries that confirm that a company is taking steps to reduce carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Credits can then be sold and monetized. Burn Manufacturing uses the carbon credits funding to subsidize the cost of the stoves. A 2022 UN Environmental Programme report on carbon emissions says that although solutions to transform society's ways of using energy exist, collective multilateral action is required. Kenya lawmakers are now debating a bill which could set rules for carbon credit trading. In Kenya, carbon credit financing and markets are currently operating, but with much legal uncertainty. Authorities and carbon traders believe the proposed bill will put the carbon markets on firmer ground and encourage more innovations like the low carbon emitting stoves. Victoria Amunga, VOA News, Nairobi.
Now, in July, the International Criminal Court said it would investigate allegations of extrajudicial killings of the burning of homes and markets and looting in Sudan Darfur region. In this report from Adre, Chad, near the border with Sudan, VOA's Henry Wilkins meets a refugee and human rights activist recording the alleged atrocities and speaks to those who have escaped Darfur as Sudan's war escalates.
In Orang, a refugee site near Chad's border with Sudan's Darfur region, refugees arrive by the thousands. Some have been traumatized by attacks against family members carried out by ethnic Arab militias. Hila Mohammed Ibrahim says her mother was killed in front of her.
We don't know who attacked us. Some people say it was the Rapid Support Forces, and others don't know exactly. They shot my mother in the head.
While spending over 4 weeks in the refugee sites on Chad's border with Darfur, VOA heard countless stories of atrocities committed against civilians carried out by Arab militias linked to the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. For journalists and rights groups, accessing Darfur is all but impossible for security reasons. However, the UN has verified the existence of one mass grave in West Darfur which may contain evidence of crimes against humanity. In July, the International Criminal Court said it had begun investigations into the allegations of atrocities in Darfur. One refugee told VOA the militias are attacking civilians as they try to flee to Chad.
They don't want us to leave. That's why they are attacking us in the streets. There are snipers in the mountains too, attacking us, even our children. They killed them and our wives too.
Another refugee who asked that his identity be protected for fear for his safety if he ever returns to Darfur has been interviewing other refugees and documenting atrocities. He says he lived through the early stages of the genocide in Darfur in the early 2000s before international efforts were made to quell the violence. What he sees today appears worse, he claims. While the previous genocide was focused on the Masalit tribe, now black people from all tribes are being targeted.
Yeah, because it is for all the tribe, it's a non-Arab descendant tribe, but now without discrimination, just the black skinned people. Random shooting from day to night.
Mohammed Osman, a Sudan researcher with Human Rights Watch, says today's violence shares characteristics with the early stages of the genocide 20 years ago.
There is no doubt from the accounts we heard from survivors that many of the abuses that people and communities experience have a lot of resemblance of stories you could hear back in 2003 and 4 and 5 at the early stages of the Darfur conflict. The killings, the ethnic targeting, the scorched earth tactic.
The UN estimates 400,000 people died as a result of ethnic cleansing in Darfur between the early 2000s and 2015. As Darfur remains cut off from media access and telecommunications, today's large-scale atrocities go unchecked. Henry Wilkins, VOA News, Orang, Chad.
And Kenyatta University's Women's Economic Empowerment Hub, popularly referred to as the KU WeHub, has joined forces with Women Empowerment Linkwell organization to champion for women's rights. This is after discovering some of the challenges women encounter economically, as well as in leadership and governance. Join Caroline Kimwele as she takes us through their journey on research in Bomet County after this break. And that brings us to the end of our bulletin tonight. My name is Anne Odida. I'm in the company of Samuel Kello, who is our sign language interpreter tonight. Have a good night and stay tuned for that story, that feature.
Are you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyatta University, where education meets innovation. KUTV, the premier university television station in Kenya, is now offering short courses in TV studio, field technical operations, and video editing. Through these courses, you will acquire hands-on skills on camera operations, media production, lighting techniques, audiovisual editing, and sound and visual control, and how to operate key equipment in modern TV control room. Enroll today at KUTV and discover your full potential in cutting-edge TV broadcasting. Graduates of these courses will receive professional certificates. For more information, visit our offices at KUTV Studios or call us on 020-870-4252 or 020-870-4255 or SMS us on 0739-110-544. KUTV, a new experience.
Nambi, you only have to stay there as long as you're happy. No one is forcing you.
Ziwa, I think Nambi is lying to me. Well, she hasn't really gone to Korea. She's with Dylan, somewhere near.
Really? What about you? Aren't you already planning to leave him? You seem to prefer Musoke to Joff. Emma, sir? How could you possibly know about all that? I think that's one of your absolutely diabolical plans. But no matter what you try to do to us, Sahara, I assure you that I will never leave my husband, and he will never ever leave me.
What is really regulation? Is it about the number of churches, given that 4,000 churches, looking into the issue of monitoring the number of churches regulated, given the license to operate in the country, it is quite huge.
Regulation really doesn't go critically into the number. We cannot say the government, through the sector-specific legislation, has said the number of registered religious institutions cannot supersede 1,000.
Ukimwi kwa wengi ni zimwi. Vijana wanaoishi na virusi hivi wanakumbana na mengi.
Imekuwa tu ni matusi. Hata ukipika chakula wengine wana reject, hawataki kula.
Ilikuwa uchungu. I went to an extent yenye nikaandika hadi note, nilikuwa naenda kujiua.
Lakini
I have overcome self-stigma. I have overcome the anticipated stigma. I have overcome in external stigma.
Mradi wa Youth Care wa Naya Kenya unawasaidia vijana hawa kujikubali.
Kimenisaidia sana. It has empowered me.
Ungana nami Mutweri Eliud saa 12:30 jioni na saa 3 usiku tarehe 1 Septemba kwa makala ya ukimwi si zimwi.
Kenyatta University Women's Economic Empowerment Hub, popularly known as KU Hub, was started 3 years ago to help in incorporating women in several matters such as in decision making, as well as empowering them economically and development-wise. Kenyatta University received a research grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to establish a center whose purpose is to provide evidence to advance women's economic empowerment in Kenya. This evidence will be used by people and organizations that want to improve women, that is, stakeholders such as policymakers, professionals, researchers, national and county governments, non-governmental organizations, and development partners.
Kenyatta University Women Economic Empowerment Hub is advocates for women empowerment through evidence-based research that informs policy. And that's why the hub was formed. Kenyatta University, being an academic and research institution, was through a competitive bidding, was given a grant, a 5-year grant by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And this grant had those many projects, about 10 or 11 projects. So, and mine was one of them. So we wrote proposals, then we consolidated those proposals, and we had one major proposal for Kenyatta University under We Hub. And so we won the bid. And after winning the bid, then of course the money was released and we started embarking on conducting research in various aspects of women economic empowerment, research that could inform policy, so that the end result of our findings will be to disseminate those findings to the various stakeholders that are of interest. And after that, we also give policy recommendations, and we could even go a step further by developing policy briefs that we sell to the county or national government.
After discovering the gaps left in empowering women in the society, and also discovering that only a small percentage of women are involved in leadership, this leadership and governance project, led by Professor David Minja, who is the principal investigator, took on the responsibility of conducting research in Bomet County so as to bring about positive change in the lives of women.
In my project, it is very county specific. County specific. So once we finish our research with a certain county, like Bomet now, and we do our report, we go back to that county and organize stakeholders workshop, a validation workshop, which also serves as a workshop for communicating the evidence that we found so that it can inform policy in that particular county. And that's why we are here today. So this week we have been in Bomet, just disseminating that information. Yesterday we were dealing with the CBUs that we dealt with, because our entry point is an NGO called Women Empowerment Link. Women Empowerment Link is operating in Kenya, various parts of Kenya. And Women Empowerment Link wants to understand how their project has impacted women economic empowerment countrywide. So when we developed this proposal, we approached Women Empowerment Link and said, we want to see whether what you are doing is actually impacting on the lives of women in terms of economic and political and governance processes.
The success of this research was achieved by some of the lecturers at Kenyatta University in collaboration with the Women Empowerment Link, WELL, which is a non-governmental organization. These lecturers included Professor David Minja, who is the principal investigator, Professor Elishiba Kimani, the deputy principal investigator, Dr. Edna Moy, Dr. Jackson Mdoe, Dr. Hilda Mahamara, including the WELL representative Julian Ngoiri. According to the researchers' review, WELL imparted Bomet women with different skills, including how to invest in groups, how to make better judgments, how to be better leaders in the family and government, life skills, financial and business skills, and how to represent their opinions and suggestions in the society, among other skills. Selina Rono is a grocery trader. She explains how she has benefited from the WELL project.
Kama hao wametufundisha WELL, tulikuja sasa kuwafunza hata wewe unaweza simama. Hata wewe unaweza simama, you are capable. You are capable. Wewe unasimama, hakuna unafikiria wako na nini? Hata sisi tuko na uwezo, tutaenda. Na watu walisimama nani? Walisimama, tulikuwa napigania mwingine MC alikosa, alipata namba 2. Mwanamke.
Albina Ruto is another beneficiary. She has been a widow for 30 years now. She explains how WELL organization trained her on the effects of female genital mutilation and on the importance of saving. Albina has a daughter living with disability who is also a mother of 3. She admits that after her daughter got married, her husband became violent to a point of beating her. But the training on gender-based violence from WELL organization helped them, and the hostile husband changed into a better husband.
We were trained with WELL jinsi ya kufanya biashara na kuweka akiba, sio ya kufanya biashara na kukula. Unafanya biashara ya kusave kitu kidogo. So tumeanza kwa hiyo group wenye tulifunzwa na WELL, tukajua maana ya savings. So tunaendelea kusave hiyo pesa. Alafu on the first place tulianzia hiyo group kufanya chama merry-go-round ili tusaidie watoto ya form 1s wenye tulianzia watoto wa form 1s kuwasaidia kusanyia pesa ya merry-go-round, alafu wachisaidie nao. Baadaye venye form 1s waliendanga shule, tukaanza sisi kusave pesa na tukaendelea na hiyo merry-go-round. Wenye hawana watoto ya form 1s wanachukua hiyo loan kufanyia biashara, not loan, hiyo merry-go-round kufanyia biashara.
WELL imetufundisha vile tuna save pesa na vile tunaomba. Unaomba pesa kulingana na biashara yako. Na vile ukipewa hiyo pesa inafaa uchipange uweke kwa biashara. Ni walitufundisha hivi, hakuna haja uombe pesa labda upewe 50,000 na we mama mboga ukuje ujifalie naye. Walitufundisha tukikupea pesa vile tunafanya biashara, vile unaweka biashara kabisa mpaka unawiri vile unarudisha.
A few kilometers away from Albina's home, we meet Priscilla Kamoyeng, who narrates that after being empowered, she is now a successful farmer. She says her husband has embraced her work after seeing the benefits of the project, especially in the family and society.
Sasa luku kwa leadership, tuseme kwa group, lazima usikie decision ya kila mtu, sio wewe unapitisha tu. Sasa nimeanza kujua mingi vile mimi nakaa tu wanaanza kusema kitu na kudecide.
Later, after their research, the Kenyatta University researchers met other stakeholders and presented their results and evaluation of the research.
I've got other leadership positions yenye nimepata. Nimekuwa leader wa my community based organization yenye niko. I'm the treasurer.
And apart from me, niko na wanawake wengine wenye I've been sensitizing with, together with my other TOTs wenye wamekuwa na hiyo leadership positions. Like for example, I've got almost 3 women wenye wamepata, mmoja ako saizi chair wa athletic a sports organization, mwingine ako chair wa dispensary. Unaona, yenye ilikuwa kitambo ilikuwa very hard kupata kwamba ni wanawake wana lead hizo positions.
According to their assessment, most of the women in Bomet County have joined investment groups of between 20 and 30 people. Men have also volunteered to be part of some of those groups and provide support when needed to.
At the beginning, in our initial findings, we found there was a gap in the sense that women were being given all this skill and the men were being left behind. And when we went to collect data and interview community members, even the men said, we would want to be involved in this training. We would want to get these skills so that we support our women with understanding. And I found that to be very positive. They were not feeling threatened, but they were saying, if only we also got this kind of knowledge, governance, leadership, they have not been trained by anybody, we would support our women to be MCAs, we would support our women to be MPs, we would support our women to be governors and everything else that they would want to achieve.
However, a call has been made to stakeholders, experts and policy makers to involve the leadership of Bomet County government in implementing the agenda of empowering women in leadership. Caroline Kimwale, KUTV.